out. Talk it out, show. Talk it out, show. Talk it out. Talk it out.
Yeah, talk it out, trying to figure out the path. We over here doing everything with the rap.
Welcome to the Talk It Out Show. All right, you guys. So, Lydia be the one watching all the little shows and stuff and talking about stuff and whatever.
I've been watching my TV.
She had talked about, which I'm kind of like, because when I had watched, the Billie Holiday thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about that. That was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because she won all those awards and stuff for it. So then, now, the big thing has been, Aretha on, was it Genius, is it called? The National Geographic.
Mm-hmm.
So I, you sparked my interest and I really wanted to watch, like, this is really interesting. It just amazes me, I think, right now, when we're able to start seeing the lives of these people that we're used to, that we're just seeing we just see the outside, the limelight of them. So I watched it. I think I probably on the tail end, but I watched all of them or whatever. And it was funny because I, thinking of the things that you had told me before about it and whatever, I was like, you know what? Yeah. She was kind of a cold piece, but I think first of all, I think she was, I give props to her resilience. The resilience and basically, like, if she's in a bad situation, she was sticking it through in these situations. But that husband of hers was not the business. And I was like, why is he still with you? I'm getting tired. And then when I thought she left him, I'm like, oh, he's still there. He didn't go away.
But you don't really, the thing about it, what I took from that is, back in the day, they didn't really divorce.
Yeah.
Back then, like now, you just, hi, we got married. Oh, yeah, yesterday we got divorced.
Yeah.
Didn't you've been married a week? Yes, and then divorced.
I mean, but when she was even talking about it, it was like justifiable. I would have been like, okay, please, get rid of him, please, because this is not working out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, when he was like, prostituting people to try to provide for them, and I was like, that don't sound right, but I'm like, okay.
To make that money, man.
Yeah, but it was like to have her visually see and then you're struggling, but that's how he's getting his money. It was just like
you couldn't argue because that's the money for your dream.
For your dream, yeah.
And that's the thing what I loved about this watching these all the shows is because the hustle and the grind, and we don't get to see that anymore. No. And even though I know she spent way more time with her kids than known, but there was a lot of times she didn't. Yeah. And how the family was watching her kids.
They were helping a lot. And then, but I got told, I've had conversations with people about this show and stuff too. And I think, to me, I felt like, because people were like, well, hey, she was doing her sister dirty. She did it. And I do. And I think at some point, how something can happen to us in our life and we just all of a sudden, that's when this cocky attitude comes about. I said I felt like once they crowned her that Queen of Soul, it was like, oh, I'm Queen of Soul. Like after that, it was like, she didn't care. I'm going to do what I want to do type of thing after that. But it just tripped me out too, the about her having, getting pregnant so young and just even back to back type of thing, like it's like, and they show you those things, but then it's like, and then
I don't think she got cocky though.
I think she did.
I don't think. Well, you gotta understand when she got crowned Queen, so she just got her ass beat.
Yeah,
and had to put makeup on, and she got her ass beat because she said, I don't want to be with you anymore.
Yeah,
I'm done. And he got her ass beat, and then, but through all that, she has been doing what everybody else wanted her to do, and she's like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I think the moment she said, I want a divorce from you, is when she said, I'm doing me. So I don't think it was a cockiness. And with her sister, it was ego shattered. Her ego got shattered. She thought she was going to get this part in a play. And she was putting all her energy and time in it. Or not play a movie. And then she didn't get it. And then you want to feel better about yourself. So you were like, I'm ready to do it. I'll do the such and such with you. And that guy could have said no and it would have been fine. But
Because I guess he originally wanted
He wanted her because it's Aretha.
It's Aretha, yeah. He wanted her, but you know,
it was just cold blooded how she did her sister.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. I don't believe it was cockiness, and I think that's what came. I think that's why her sister was so able to forgive her later on. Is to know that I worked my butt off, because they both did. Worked her, but she was like, I worked my butt off. And I got my name. I'm Queen of Soul. I moved this in. And I know I should be able to get this part. I studied. I went to acting school. I did everything I'm supposed to do. And I didn't get it. And it's a rejection that you might not want to deal with or you couldn't handle. And I think she wanted to make herself feel better. Because I don't think anybody could have made her feel better. So she was like, let me do this part. Because at least I can say I did this, you know, for a musical.
It's just, I think there was just so much. I think too that sad. When I look at these shows, I'm gonna just say for both. Like when I think about the Billie Holiday one, it's emotional for me to even think about all that stuff. But it just shows me too, like I always say, the resilience of our people, because it amazes me a lot of the stuff that they have to go through. And a lot of the stuff that they see, you know, we think about how we have it now. I mean, just thinking how they were back then, having to go to the bathroom, and this is when everything was segregated and things like that. We don't think about all that stuff that was going on back then, and I think that's why a lot of, because I was like, oh, you know, they was kind of doing some crazy stuff, especially the dad being a pastor, but that's how a lot of times that is too. And people to see that other aspect, a lot of people don't see that.
So Billie Holiday's dad was a pastor, Billie Holiday?
No. I'm talking about with Aretha, how her dad was doing that. It was like, but I'm just saying how there's that other life.
It is
that because they're still human and they're flesh and they give into the flesh, but also too when I talk about how people have that power, so you use that power and you just doing whatever you want. It's just the same thing as when you're in the music business, and once you start getting famous and you get so much money that you learn about the things that like, why did that star do that? Well, sometimes a lot of get so much money they start doing stupid stuff. They just, oh, I got money, I'm going to just go do this. I'm going, just weird stuff because of the power and the money. With her father, he had the power everywhere he went. He had money. That, yeah, and because he had that big church and stuff. So it was like she saw him as the man because he was doing the things he was doing. But then she also looked up to him because that protection, he was trying to protect you. You know what I mean?
And not only that was her biggest supporter.
Yeah, he was.
No matter how mad he got at her, he went to all her stuff. That was her biggest supporter. Yeah. And she said that when he died. Like that was her biggest support. And I think about that and like, we need to start supporting our kids like they did back then. And we need to not hold our kids so like they're up here. Above
we mean high, and just the expectations are so high.
Because that does put a lot of pressure on the kids.
It does.
Because you see that too, that put a lot of pressure on the kids.
Right, it is.
But it was so wonderful to know that he had that support.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, he was always, she always, was my daddy here? Is my daddy, and so
even when she didn't want her daddy there,
right? She wanted to know if he came. Yeah, so that's the thing. So it was just amazing because for me growing up and listening to her life wasn't really out there like a lot of times. And then when I found out, this was so crazy, right after I was watching all that, I went on my thing and watch. A story came up about a lady, and I had no idea about this lady who was basically conned into imitating her. This man basically told her, he heard her sing and this and that or whatever, and she looked like Aretha. So he took her, and back then there's no way to know if Aretha's touring over here on the East Coast. This other chick that looked like Aretha, he was saying she was Aretha. He was booking shows, and she was making buku. She started getting a lot of money but he was holding her against her will to do these shows, and people was really believing because she sang that good that she was Aretha. So then what happened? The only way they got caught wind of it was they booked the show and Aretha was going to say, I think was it Florida, I think it was. So I think it was, but they ended up booking around the same time, and Aretha's people had caught wind of it, and they had hired some private investigators and things like that, and so they ended up. She ended never get that big. It was a big show too, and she never ended up doing it. They ended up coming and getting her and him, but I felt bad for her because he was holding her against her will, making her do these shows, and because even when he grabbed it the first time, and she was desperate for money. I think she was a young lady who had some kids or something like that, and she needed some money, whatever. So she thought the first couple of times okay, but because she sang so well, and people really believed, and they thought that she was going to get caught because somebody was like this, looking, she got nervous, she got on stage, and someone was looking at her, and she was like, oh my gosh, someone will figure out I'm really not Aretha. But then when she started singing, they was like, oh my gosh, it's really her, and they just freaked out, and so that girl got famous imitating Aretha, and was going for a while. But then they got caught, and they went underneath the jail, so for real. But that tripped me out, finding out that story too.
And I wish they would have, like I said last time, I wish they would have showed us Aretha she got all her money in cash. Mm-hmm. She got paid in cash. Until the day she died, she got paid cash. Mm-hmm. And she got paid up front. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love how that is. Mm-hmm. So it's just wonderful to see these women that inspire us to see what they do. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
I'm just enjoying it. I can't wait to see the Mahalia Jackson.
Oh wow. So, that's probably really going to be
I think
amazing.
It's coming out today.
Sometimes it's hard Sunday. To see these things, though, because of the stuff that these women went through. Woo.
But it's hard, but it's my thing. You know what gets me? And then we're going to go. This is what gets me going. Mm. This was back in the day. Yeah. During racism. Yeah. I mean, we got racism now, but this was back in the day with racism. This was back where, whites over here, blacks over here. Yeah. We had to go behind to get in there to perform. Or right after this, happened. And, because Aretha was with Martin Luther King and the Power to the People. And during that time, Malcolm X and all that. That's that era. And to see that, she still, I was powerful, and she was sweet and kind. Mm-hmm. She worked with the white people, worked with everybody, and she was just blunt. Mm-hmm. And I love that, and that inspires me. And that's why it's so important for us to know our history, because it gives us that strength and that power. Mm-hmm.
You guys let us know who inspired you, because, we just got off this, yes, we are into a new month, but that Women's Month was amazing, and we have to keep continuing to celebrate the women that have made changes, and because I'm telling you, it's already hard enough to look at the things that we've had to go through as a black people as a culture and things like that. But we are black women, so those are two things against us for a long time. So we are to see powerful, resilient women right now, and these things that they've gone through, and the things that even some of them have, like, to me, the Billie Holiday was the sacrifice was just, I'm still in shock to me. When you know the stories, you're just like, you appreciate them so much more. You know what I mean? I'm grateful. To me, a lot of times it's like, it makes me go, you know what? If you're given the gift, don't sit on it. Don't sit on it. These people are sitting there. These are the people who paved the way for you to be able to do what you do now. It spoke to
me. And me. I'm watching the Billie Holiday.
So thank you so much for tuning in to us. And of course, we will see you next time right here
on the Talk It Out Show.
Talk It Out Show. Talk It Out.
It's the Talk It Out Show.